The following is a production of Notch 6 Media.
It's the Notch 6 Online Podcast, episode number 43. In this episode, we get a fresh look at the brand new Lionel 2014 Volume 2 catalog. Matt Ashbaugh and Ryan Kunkel from Lionel will be along to give us all the details about every new item that's in this catalog. It's an exciting episode of Notch 6, and it's right ahead.
This is the Notch 6 Online Podcast. Notch 6 is the podcast dedicated to O-gauge trains. Whether you're collecting, operating, or just getting started, Notch 6 is your home for O-gauge news, events, and interviews. Now here is your host, Derek Thomas.
Well, welcome to another episode of Notch 6. If you're joining us for the first time, if you're new to the world of O-gauge, if you've been doing this for a little while, or if you're a seasoned veteran, welcome to the show. I'm Derek Thomas. And the entire point of this show is to inform you, the listener, of everything that's going on in the world of O-gauge. And today is no different, as we have our friends from Lionel along to give us all the insight to the brand new Volume 2 catalog for 2014. Now, this show is intended to be a companion piece. So if you're listening to this show from desktop, computer, iPad, whatever, I'm going to encourage you to navigate over to Lionel.com right now. We'll give you a couple of minutes to do that. I'm going to encourage you to navigate over to Lionel.com and flip through the catalog while you listen to this show. We're going to try and stay in somewhat of an order so that as you flip through the catalog, you'll hear directly from the folks at Lionel about some of the details about these new products that are easy to get lost in the catalog. We're going to talk about things you won't read in the catalog. And so hopefully by the time you finish this show and you finish flipping through the catalog, you'll have plenty of insight about what you may want to order from this catalog. And trust me, as we get into this, I think you guys are going to find some things that you're excited to order, excited to hear about. There are things we're excited to talk about. And one of my favorite times of the year is time for a new catalog. So without any further ado, we're going to get right into this. Like I said, hop on over to Lionel.com, read along with us, and here we go. It's the Lionel 2014 Volume 2 catalog right here on Notch 6.
This is Notch 6, your first source for breaking news and in-depth interviews in the world of O-gauge.
Well, welcome back to the Notch 6 podcast, and we're going to jump right into this brand new Volume 2 2014 catalog with a new voice to the Notch 6 podcast. It's a voice that you need to get familiar with because this guy's going to be around Lionel for a long time, and he's bringing a lot of changes to Lionel along with the rest of the product management team. His name is Ryan Kunkel. Ryan, welcome to the podcast. I'm happy to have you aboard.
Thank you very much, Derek. It's my pleasure to be here on behalf of Mike Reagan and the rest of the project management team here, as well as Howard and everybody else in the company. I want to extend my thanks to you for this program. It's wonderfully done and a great asset to train fans everywhere. And also extend my thank you to everybody out there in the Lionel community, our fans, our supporters. It's a joy to come to work every day and put these products together and see the result once they get in the market. So thank you all for your continued support of the company and what we do.
Well, I'm excited for people to get to know you because what they're going to find out about you very quickly, and along with the rest of the project management team, is that you are a much more detail-oriented group of people than I think people would give you credit for. And as we dig into these brand new products, I think people are going to see some of the new details that are coming out in these brand new engines for 2014, 2015 that they've never seen before. And so we're excited to talk about that. Let's dive right into this. Let's talk about the brand new hero piece in this catalog. It's a piece that folks haven't seen in almost 10 years. The Norfolk and Western Y6B returns in this catalog. Tell me about some of the features that are new for this run of the engine.
Well, the Y6B is definitely our big locomotive for this catalog. It'll feature the same level of detailing that came out on the JLC series locomotive. So if you're looking for a highly detailed scale steam locomotive, you're not going to do any better than this engine. New in the locomotive since its last release will be the whistle steam feature. We know that's a huge hit with everybody out there, and we've made it a point to try and get that into every locomotive we can, including the Y6. So along with that, the other new features since its last release, this also will be equipped with the IR transmitter working with the sensor track, so that you'll be able to unlock all of those features using it in conjunction with sensor track and the other LCS components to really make the most out of the engine and your entire operating experience.
Let's talk about some of those IR sensor features for a listener who's never owned an IR sensored locomotive, which if you haven't gotten one yet, you need to pick one of these things up. On these high-end steam engines, talk about some of the features that the IR sensor can unlock in the engine.
Well, our locomotives do a lot of things, and some of the interesting things that they do you don't really see on a regular basis. So, for example, your legacy system is designed so that as your locomotive is working, it monitors the labor of the engine, not just how fast you're running it, but how hard you're actually working the locomotive. And that controls things like the fuel and water level in the engine, which you don't necessarily see, but you can actually monitor these things on your locomotive. As you run over the sensor track, it can prompt a reading for you of your fuel status, so that if you want to time your trips over to the water tower, for example, you can do that. The locomotive won't automatically shut itself off, or as we've joked about, the automatic boiler explosion if you run out of water in the boiler type of scenario. But it is another level you can add to your play value in the locomotive. Using the sensor track, you can also set up automated sequences to take place. There are some that are pre-programmed that come along in the track, but you can also record your own scenarios. So if you want the locomotive to automatically switch to a siding, for example, each time it passes the track, it could be programmed to do that. It could blow a railroad crossing signal. It could do any number of things. And actually, we're as excited as a lot of you are to see what the creative minds out in the field will come up with using sensor tracks on their way out, using the full LCS system to see how things get automated and animated. There's a ton of potential in these new products, and it'll be up to everybody to work to see how it comes out.
Yeah, I think we're on the horizon of a lot of exciting things with these high-end engines and the LCS system working together. And these sensor tracks really have been only on the streets for about a month now. So as users get to play with them a little bit more, I think it's going to be interesting for us to watch, and I'm sure it's going to be interesting for you guys to watch what your buyers are doing with these, and we're excited to see how that works out. One of the other hallmarks of this engine is this falls under the build-to-order program. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yes.
Okay.
Like our other scale, high-end legacy steam and diesel locomotives, the Y6 will be built to order, and what that means is we will build as many as we receive orders for. This helps us in some ways by making sure that we don't have excess inventory. It also is to the benefit of the consumer because it means nobody gets left out. It makes sure that we don't under forecast, which is just as big a possibility with some of these locomotives as over forecasting.
Very cool. And obviously, this is becoming a regular part of the Lionel line with this build-to-order program, and we've, I feel like we've talked about it ad nauseum on a lot of different places on the forums and stuff, but clearly Lionel thinks there's a strategy here that's working, and it's good to see that you guys are moving forward with this because obviously, you guys feel that it works, and I think you're right. I think it keeps people from getting left out, and the only downside for the consumer is it makes us make a decision sooner rather than later, but you know what? Sometimes you can't sit on the fence forever. One of the other cool things is road numbers on this. It's not just one road number. It's going to be offered in 3 different road numbers. Is that correct?
Yes, 3 different road numbers, 2171, 2175, and 2195. The decoration on all 3 will be identical except for the change in the road number.
So this is the hero piece of this catalog, and it's so great to see this engine make the return to the Lionel line. And like I said, it's been 10 years, but this isn't the only steam engine in this catalog. There is a lot of other ground to cover. Let's move over to the 460 10-wheelers. There's a host of road names in these engines. Tell us what we can expect in terms of road names for these engines.
Road names for the 460 10-wheeler will include Canadian National, Chicago and Northwestern, Frisco, Northern Pacific, Southern Pacific, New York Central, New Haven, and Atlantic coastline. So something from just about every corner of the country.
Wow. Wow. And again, fully featured legacy locomotives, what are we looking at in terms of the package of toys on these engines?
You're looking at the full legacy features, everything you've come to know and expect and love with legacy, the legacy rail sounds, legacy control. This is IR sensor equipped for work with the sensor track. We were not able to cram a whistle steam effect into this one, unfortunately. But you do have all the other normal legacy features: electrocoupler on the tender, the wireless tether between the tender and the steam locomotive, and plenty of separately applied details and other goodies in there. One of the things that we heard as feedback from our last catalog was that we needed some more smaller legacy steam out there for folks who didn't want to run on 072 curves. So hopefully engines like this 10-wheeler help fit that mold in there as well. This will do an 031 curve.
Wow. So some very, very tight radius for these engines. And that is nice. I mean, not everybody can cram an 072 loop into their train room. And so that's great that you guys are listening to the consumer in terms of offering, a really well-equipped engine in a very small package. Again, on these engines, part of the build-to-order program. So if you are interested in a legacy 10-wheeler, you need to talk to your local Lionel dealer and get your order in sooner rather than later. And we're going to repeat that a lot during this program. But again, the reason Lionel does it this way, we don't want people to miss out. And the reality is, too, from a collector standpoint, it helps these engines hold their value down the road. You're not looking 3-4 years down the road and having somebody blow these engines out because they had an extra 10 or 15 of them in stock. So it helps everybody in the long run. And so, like I said, if you're interested in any of these steam engines we've mentioned so far, Lionel.com, find your local Lionel dealer and get those orders in sooner rather than later. We're going to switch over to diesels here for a second in terms of legacy equipped diesels as we move further down this catalog. The Alco S2 Switchers, boy, a lot of road names here, and this one's going to be a mouthful, but I'm going to let you rattle off the road names here, and we're going to get into a few of these. Some of these are pretty obscure.
Sure. On the Alco S2, we're doing Boston and Maine, Chicago, Burlington, and Quincy, Canadian Pacific, Gulf, Mobile, and Ohio, Great Northern, Pennsylvania, and South Buffalo, and Union Pacific. So again, a nice broad range of geographical areas covered, and some odd road names out there too. The South Buffalo Railroad, for example, a steel hauling railroad in the Buffalo area, but they had a number of industrial operations going on, and these S2s were some of the last in service. They were in service well into this century, so probably, even though it's a small line and certainly not as familiar as the Union Pacific or the Pennsylvania, we think it should have some interest to people who model a more modern era but want to have some classic Alco power on their layout.
Now, asking you, since you're kind of the historian in the department, so to speak, what other lines would have run around South Buffalo that could be connecting lines for this engine?
This locomotive over its length of service would have interchanged with anything from the Pennsylvania, New York Central, Erie, Nickel Plate ran through Buffalo, then on into the Penn Central, Conrail years, right up to Norfolk Southern and CSX. So it's a very rich railroading area and a lot of great railroad history and rail fanning even today up there. So a popular area and well worth a look.
Very cool. Let's talk about the decoration on these locomotives. Multiple road numbers, and something that I find interesting is all of these units will be powered, correct? No dummy units this time around.
Yes, no dummy units this time around. All units will be powered, 2 road numbers for each of those road names. Okay,
and fairly detailed locomotives from your opinion? I mean, what are some of the details that you like to point out on these that are interesting?
These locomotives will have the same level of detail as previous runs. So if folks have seen our previous S2s up close, they'll be able to appreciate the level of detail on them. These locomotives do have a fixed pilot. They still navigate an 031 curve, so that's always a nice feature when you can have a 3-rail locomotive on an 031 curve with a fixed pilot. These locomotives will not have the IR sensor in them. mainly because of the design of the engine itself. That there's just really no place to hide the sensor on this engine. As a switch engine, its use with the sensor track may not be as necessary as you do it with a road engine either. But so that's the one feature that we have on most legacy locomotives today that we could not incorporate into this engine. It does have the smoke, it has the sounds and the lights and all the other bells and whistles that you've come to expect, however.
One of the other engines, and you and I are going to go into some detail on this one because I think these engines are really kind of a great example of areas where Lionel is going that Lionel has never gone before. And if you're not looking for the details that are on these new legacy GP30 locomotives, you're going to miss some stuff. And so you and I are going to spend a few minutes on these engines. Start off telling me about road names so everybody knows if they can find it in their favorite paint scheme, and then we'll start getting into the nitty-gritty details on some of these.
Sure. Lots of road names on the GP30s this year. Starting with Chesapeake and Ohio, the EMD Demonstrator, Toledo, Peoria and Western, Union Pacific, Penn Central, Norfolk and Western, Southern, Milwaukee Road, and Gulf Mobile in Ohio. Most of those will be available in 2 road numbers each. The EMD Demonstrator and the TP&W will be 1 road number each because there was only 1 on those roads. So you have a wide range of colors and locomotives here to choose from with lots of fun options on them as well.
One thing that you told me on the phone the other day that I really liked how you phrased it, the phrase was, we're aiming for more prototypical designs. Can you kind of explain what the goal is and why folks are going to see a lot of new details on these engines?
We've noticed in the hobby overall a trend to people who are starting to understand more about locomotives and starting to pick up the little details in real life and want to see that on their model as well. We introduced this a little bit last year with the E9s. You noticed a lot of road-specific detailing along the roof lines and the pilots of those locomotives, and that was a really big feature for a lot of people. There was a lot of talk about that. So you're going to see that same level of detailing on the GP30s, but then kicked up even another notch. So you'll see things like the right horn, for example, on the cabs of each of these locomotives. And you'll also see that we've put the right sounds in the programming for this, the right sounds for the horns to match the model. So if the engine has a 5-chime air horn on it, you're going to hear a 5-chime air horn when you run the locomotive, as opposed to a single chime that you might have on a different road name. Wow,
that's a big change. That's a really big change, and people should be excited about that. And
it gets even bigger than that. With the GP30s, we took things a step further, and we've done some new tooling with this locomotive this year to give you some features that that may never have been offered before in a mass-produced O-scale GP30, and or certainly not recently. So, for example, we're going to offer for Norfolk and Western and Southern units the high short hood option that those locomotives had on those railroads. So they'll have the correct raised short hood with the bell perched on the end of the hood and the other details as appropriate. And then for those railroads that use trade-in locomotives and trade-in trucks underneath their GP30s, we've also added the feature of the proper Alco or the AAR Type B trucks underneath the Milwaukee Road and the GM&O locomotives. So you'll have locomotives with the correct trucks, the correct high hood arrangements, and a smattering of other small details here and there as well.
Very cool. And so, it should be mentioned, and I'm going to out you here for a second, that Ryan is an incredible modeler in HO scale, but that's one of the areas that you bring to the table, Ryan, that I think the Lionel buyer is going to appreciate down the road, is that you are just as passionate about these details as the other guys out there that are counting the rivets, whether it's O gauge, whether it's HO, whether it's N scale. you bring that kind of passion for detail into your job. And obviously, as we're sitting here talking about, we're talking about correct truck types. We're talking about correct horns programmed in for sounds, and you're going to start seeing a lot of other small changes in the Lionel line, but it gets us closer and closer to the real thing. And I think that's really exciting. And you guys have to be excited about that as well.
We are. It's fun to do something new. It's fun to bring something new to the market. It's fun to take a locomotive that we've done before, like the GP30, and make it better. Bring it back again as something new and something different. Not just the detail features and changes in the hoods and so forth, but even just the paint and leathering on the locomotives. These were all carefully researched, and our graphics department did an outstanding job of replicating the prototype paint schemes. In some cases, for example, one of the Norfolk and Western units, both of the Southern units, we went ahead and reproduced locomotives that are still preserved today and in service. So folks who may have ridden behind them in a museum or seen them at excursions and so forth might recognize them a little bit more. The Penn Central units, for example, one of them will be in the traditional all-white PC leathering. Another one will have the red P and the white C. And that's all matched to specific locomotives that had those features. So we wanted to make sure that as we offered these locomotives, we took the steps to make them as accurate as we could for each road name.
Something else I want to mention about the decoration. It's one thing to do a Toledo, Peoria, and Western engine. It's a whole other thing. Let's narrow it down even more, and let's do one in the bicentennial paint scheme. What? Whose idea was that, and how do you convince a big company like Lionel to say, hey, this is really out there, but it's really cool, let's do it?
Well, we work as a team here when it comes to finalizing what's going to go in each catalog and what road names we're going to do. I don't remember which one of us got credit for the TP&W. If it's a huge sales success, I'll be happy to take the credit for it. If we sell 3 of them, then I swear it was Mike Reagan's idea. But the truth is, when you look at that locomotive, it is a beautiful paint scheme. That red, white, and blue bicentennial unit, it really jumps out at you. The TP&Ws, again, not a big road like the Union Pacific or the Baltimore and Ohio, but it's one of those railroads that doesn't get done all the time. So it's nice to throw a bone to the short lines every now and then, to put something out there that we just haven't done before. And I think when people get a look at this locomotive and the color scheme on it, if you just want a nice, colorful, bright, interesting locomotive for your railroad, this is one that you should take a close look at. It's just a neat-looking locomotive.
Yeah, and you guys are also doing another unique one with the EMD demonstrator unit. Again, only one road number on that because only one ever existed. And this is, I'm racking my brain here, but this is the first time you guys have done something in demonstrator that's relatively detailed and scale in quite some time, if I'm right. It's been a while.
Well, we did the demonstrators on the Baldwin Centipedes in the Vision line a few years ago. That's the last one that I can think of off the top of my head. We don't do them every year or all the time, but again, there's something about the simple black and white and red of the EMD's GP30 demonstrator that really jumps out at you. And the nice thing about a demonstrator locomotive is it really doesn't matter what railroad you model. You can make an excuse to bring this one into your roster as well.
Very cool. And let's wrap up the GP30s by talking about features. What do we expect on these engines in terms of electronics packages?
Full legacy, IR sensor, the rail sounds, as I mentioned, the sounds in there with the horns will be done right with the horn on the locomotive. The smoke unit as well. So everything you've come to expect. Minimum operating curve is 031 on these as well.
Very nice. We're going to jump ahead just a second for one more diesel because I'm going to have to circle back around because I missed the steam engine. We're going to jump ahead with one more diesel, and that's the H2466 FM Trainmasters, and those are more towards the middle of the catalog. A few road names on these. Give me the rundown on those.
Yeah, these are the same locomotives that we had introduced in the previous catalog, signature catalog earlier this year. One of the things that didn't make it into the catalog was a photo of the Norfolk and Western unit. So I know there were a lot of questions over, which of the N&W schemes that was done in and so forth. So you'll see that there. Like a lot of the other locomotives we've been doing, correct horn details on these for the road name. Took a lot of care to match the paint and decoration as closely as we could on our existing Trainmaster body to these different railroads and pick up little details here and there where we could. They're configured to run either short hood forward or long hood forward, depending on the prototype as well.
Okay, very good. So that kind of rounds out the legacy diesels. I'm going to have to circle back here. If you thought we were done with articulated steam, no, you're completely wrong. The Y3 steam locomotive returns again in this catalog, and with a few unique things in it. One specifically these are weathered engines. Why the continuing trend with the weathered engines? Obviously, Lionel has seen some success there and keeps going that route.
Yes, that's the first round of these that we did very well, and people, once they saw them in the marketplace, really there were requests for more. So we were happy to oblige with the N&W Y3. So this could be a very expensive catalog for fans of the Norfolk and Western out there. But these locomotives are all hand done by Harry Heike. He does an absolute beautiful job with each locomotive. Each one is done individually, so each one is going to be handcrafted and just a little bit unique, just like the prototype. Weathered steam and weathered diesel engines are certainly, one of those things that some people really love, the look of a locomotive that has that in-service and used look. Others want everything to look shiny new the way it rolled right out of the factory. But there's room in the hobby for both, and this is a great way for those who want to have a realistically weathered locomotive on their railroad without having to face the fear of doing it themselves.
Yeah, and that's the thing about weathering is it really is an art form. To get it right and to make it look right, it takes some skill, and not everybody has that kind of skill. Not everybody wants to learn that kind of skill. But when Lionel trusts Harry to do these locos, Harry does an outstanding job. And I think if you've ever seen one of the weathered pieces on display at the Lionel booth, the work is outstanding, and you won't be disappointed with these kind of engines, especially if you're looking for something that has some service use to it. And so I think the folks that order these will be very, very happy with what they receive. Now, not only is this for the Norfolk and Western fans, but there's also Virginia and Santa Fe versions of this locomotive as well, correct?
Correct. And one of the things that Harry does very well, the best weathering is often subtle weathering. These locomotives will be weathered look as they would in service, but not like beaten locomotives that are 2 days from the scrap heap. So this will give you the option to have a locomotive that looks very nice in service with a realistic but nice appropriate amount of weathering, not something that's overdone.
Got it. Electronics, full legacy. Anything else special here?
Full legacy in these. Full rail sounds, IR sensor equipped, the wireless tether, the electrocoupler, the whole 9 yards on these. And it's a very nicely detailed locomotive from pilot to tender truck.
Very cool. And you're right about it being an expensive catalog. You've got for the Norfolk and Western fans, you've got a Y3, a Y6B, and the Pocahontas sets aren't too far behind. So, boy, I can see some people taking out some second mortgages to get through this catalog and the rest of the last one. So, yeah, if you like the Norfolk and Western, I'm praying for you guys. Anyway, let's jump into the Lion Chief line here for a minute. The Lion Chief fans don't walk away disappointed, and Lion Chief has probably been one of the most talked about products this year because of the new impact that it's making into the marketplace. Let's talk about these Camelback locomotives first. Give me a rundown on the road names.
Sure. Camelback's coming back with Lion Chief Plus in Jersey Central, Delaware, Lackawanna, and Western, Lehigh Valley, Philadelphia and Reading, and Erie. So all good northeastern roads here who would have enjoyed the anthracite coal and the Camelback type locomotives.
and again, some unique road names in these engines, something that going back 10 or 15 years, I don't think anybody would have ever dreamed that locomotives would be put out in these road names. So it's cool to see what you guys are doing there. We're not going to dive too deep into the features on that, just because Lion Chief Plus features, it's what you're used to in terms of electric coupler, smoke, whistle, bell, all that good stuff. So we won't go too far into that unless there's something I missed.
No, if you're looking for a good mid-sized engine with a lot of nice features and a lot of great pulling power, the Lion Chief Plus steam locomotives are really an exciting way to go.
And something, I want to circle back before I get away from these on all of the Lion Chief Plus locomotives, and it's something that I think it's easy to overlook in the catalog. Just because it's Lion Chief Plus, you can either operate with the Lion Chief remote control, or there is a switch on every one of the Lion Chief Plus. I want to emphasize that it's a Lion Chief Plus that you can flip, and you can operate these on a normal transformer, whether it's a CW80, a ZW, whatever you might have, but they can be operated with your Lion Chief remote that comes with the engine, or they can operate on your transformer. So just want to make sure and point that out for those of you that aren't very familiar. Now, I should say that, like I said, it's Lion Chief Plus only that has the conventional operation ability. If it's regular Lion Chief, it's just tethered to the remote. Another feature in the catalog for Lion Chief Plus is GP20s. Another nice stable of road names. Why don't you run those off for me?
Sure. In the GP20, we've got BNSF, New York Central, the original Norfolk Southern. This is the gray and red and black scheme, and New York Susquehanna and Western.
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting to see you guys do the old Norfolk Southern, not black and horsehead and white, but something with a little bit of color to it, and I think there'll be some people excited about that. And then to round out the stable of Lion Chief Plus diesels, we have switchers, NW2 switchers to be specific. What are we looking at there?
For the NW2, we have B&O, Burlington Northern, Chicago, Burlington and Quincy, and Southern.
Very nice. So to kind of put the Lion Chief Plus in a nutshell, obviously this line of product is not going anywhere. This line continues to build year after year, and gosh, we've been talking about the Lion Chief line in some form or another for at least 2-3 years now. You guys have to feel really good about where you're at with this line of product. Are there new things on the horizon even beyond this catalog that we're going to see a lot more of?
Oh, yes. Yeah, the Lion Chief Plus, we're just getting started with this. And as we continue to get feedback from all of you over what you like and what's working well, and as we continue to look at the product from our end and see what we can do to make it even better, we're going to continue to work that way. So there's definitely a lot more options being discussed on things we can do, more locomotives coming, and a whole bunch of other things that I would probably get in a lot of trouble for if I let too many cats out of the bag.
No, we don't want to do that yet. We have to have something for the Volume 1 catalog shown next year. So we'll get to those things when their time comes. A couple other things I want to touch base with you on real quick before we get to Matt Ashbaugh and we cover accessories and passenger cars and rolling stock and all that fun stuff. Auxiliary tenders returned for the Union Pacific to complement the big boy. What is unique about these auxiliary tenders? What kind of features are we going to have in these?
These will have the legacy control for the backup lighting as well as for the electrocouplers on there. So that will work with legacy or, of course, your TMCC control system. There'll be a front and rear electrocoupler on the tender. New in terms of decoration schemes for these tenders, we'll be doing one with the flag scheme on it, the current Union Pacific scheme on their auxiliary water tenders. So for those who want to jump the gun a little bit and run their Vision Big Boy 4014 with an auxiliary tender and excursion service, you've got an option there to do that.
Very good. Well, that'll wrap it up for diesel locomotives and steam locomotives in this catalog. You've been listening to Ryan Kunkel. We're going to bring in Matt Ashbaugh next. Ryan, thanks so much for your time, your expertise, and your attention to detail. We'll be back with Matt Ashbaugh in just a second on Notch 6.
Hi, this is Christy Thomas. Derek and I want to take a moment and thank you for listening to Notch 6. There are 2 ways to help support us here at Notch 6. First, the Madison Poster Company, where we offer limited edition Lionel dealer posters. They make a great addition for a train room, living room, or office. You can order a poster at madisonposter.com. The second way is through the Madison Hardware T-shirt project, where a portion of the proceeds will go to support the LCCA youth activities. Thanks again for your support. Now back to the show.
Welcome back to the Notch 6 podcast. If you thought we were done, no, we have a long way to go. We have freight cars, accessories, and a host of other great things to cover. Here to explore this part of the catalog with me is Matt Ashbaugh. He's the Director of Product Planning for Lionel. You've heard him on the show before. Matt, welcome back to the show.
Thank you very much, Derek. It's always a pleasure to be interviewed by you and to talk with your folks.
It seems like we were just doing this for the Volume 1 catalog, and here we are again for Volume 2, and a lot of exciting things we've already talked about in the locomotive department, a lot of new things in terms of big articulated steams, highly detailed diesel locomotives, a host of new offerings in the Lion Chief Plus product, but this catalog is not all about locomotives. Let's start off with these higher-end freight cars, these highly detailed O-scale freight cars. Tell me a little bit about this Union Pacific Commemorative Caboose that's in the catalog this time around.
Yeah, you bet. You'll see in the catalog we have a CA4 style Caboose for Union Pacific, and it features the Heritage Union Pacific flag on the side. Very beautiful car, always a beautiful scheme. But it also has all the surviving big boy locomotives listed on it. So I think anybody who's a fan of the big boy or who happens to be lucky enough to own the Vision big boy, we think that's going to be a nice addition, as well as perhaps one of those water cars as well that we're offering in this catalog.
And not only do you have cabooses, but you have reefers. Not only the Vision line reefers that we talked about from the Volume 1 catalog, but there you have more steel reefers to go behind these big boys. Tell me a little bit about those.
Yeah, we do. As you mentioned, Derek, we had Vision steel-sided reefers in our previous catalog, and we're all very anxious to have those come out. That's going to be special for the Vision big boy. We've had a number of unique road names, or road numbers on these steel-sided reefers. I just want to make it clear to the audience that if you're looking for a few additional steel-sided reefers to run behind any of your Union Pacific locomotives, you're going to see a few more of those offered in this catalog for C2.
Very cool. And so it's getting to the point where with this Vision line big boy, not only Vision line big boy, but any Lionel Union Pacific product, you can put together a pretty sizable consist that's going to look great. And really, there's something for every budget here, too. Like I said, everything from Vision line reefers all the way down to these steel-sided reefers, which are highly detailed and will look great behind any Union Pacific locomotive. You guys have to feel good about that you guys are covering really a wide range of product.
Yeah, we certainly have a wide variety of locomotives that we do, scale locomotives and otherwise, with a tremendous number of road names. And we know it's important to support those engines with a great supply of scale rolling stock. And Lionel certainly over the past decade has really branched out and expanded their scale line. And we're going to continue to support that part of our line. And you'll see some changes with the Net 2 with new tooling coming in, and some things that we're going to do that will help those who feel more strongly towards scaleness. So one of the things, for instance, that you're going to be seeing on our scale rolling stock as we move forward is, it may seem like a small thing to some, but I think to others it's a big deal. We're going to actually move the Lionel builder's plate to the bottom of our scale freight cars. So we've started doing that recently in our past catalog, but as we move forward, that'll be yet one more small detail that we'll do to enhance the realism of our scale rolling stock.
Very interesting, and that's interesting because I've heard the debate from both sides that that built by Lionel on the side of the car has been a hallmark for decades now. But the fact that you guys are approaching it from the standpoint of, hey, we understand that there's scale modelers out here that may not appreciate that for what it is, and so the fact that you're still putting build by Lionel, but you're moving that to the bottom of the car, I think is a nice compromise between the two.
Yeah, and you'll notice two things like the new GLA twin hoppers, which you might have seen in our catalog. That are new tooling. You're going to see more on that car, where we offer the ability to convert your couplers to scale Katy couplers, for instance. So yet again, another example of really how with customized details and couplers and even the builder's plate, we're trying to make our scale guys very happy with our product.
I think this is a great chance to highlight for just a second another important part that's new to the Lionel world this year, and that is the Lionel Track site, which is tracks.lionel.com. If you go back on that site, it's probably been about 6 or 8 weeks now. There is a great article about the GLA hoppers. If you want to see some of the engineering drawings and the details that go into this new line of GLA hoppers, go check out the Lionel Tracks website, because there's an incredible article on there that shows the engineering drawings and really talks about the amount of work that the product design team has put into these hoppers. And if you enjoy scale rolling stock that's highly detailed, you won't be disappointed with these hoppers. And the same thing goes for the new N5C cabooses. Again, talking with the product management team, these guys have put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into getting the details right. And you'll see certain details, just like on the diesel locomotives that we talked about earlier in the show, that are road specific. Just little things that, you know, if you're not a trained person looking at these cars, you wouldn't notice. But if you study these cars and you know about the prototype, you're going to notice these changes in detail. Matt, is that something that you guys are actively working on improving, and is that something we can expect to continue down the line with the Lionel product?
Yeah, I would definitely keep your eye on the details. It is a tightrope walk, because all the small detail change does cost more to do. But the project management group has done a really good job of finding ways to cut costs in other ways, and at the same time to be able to enhance some of the details that we're getting. So, like I said, it's a tightrope walk, but it's our goal to be able to fine-tune these products to specific road names as best as we can to satisfy our scale audience.
Very nice. We're not going to spend too much time talking about the PS1 boxcars and the auto racks. These have been in the catalog a couple of times now. But if you'll flip back a few pages into the rolling stock, you will see that in the PS1 boxcars and in the auto racks, a couple of new road names to continue to expand your roster of those cars. So that's something to flip back in the catalog and look at. Something new for this catalog that I think is really kind of cool as we talk about supporting these other products, supporting the Vision Line Big Boys, supporting these scale steam engines with the GLA hoppers. You guys are also supporting the Hijackers with tie work cars. Those are pretty cool, and those are new, aren't they?
Yeah, those are new. We've never done an accompanying piece for the Hijacker cars. If you recall, and take a look in the catalog right now, if any of our audience has that in front of them, the Hijacker cars have command control, and so they now can activate or eject those ties at will with their cab remote control. And you can also eject those with conventionally as well from your transformer. But beyond that, we have these really cool tie work cars that can be linked to your Hijacker, and you have a nice little load of ties that go with that. And we feel it's a really nice accompanying piece for the command control Hijacker cars. So we've got one for each of the road names that we have for those Hijacker cars.
It's really cool to see you guys take a piece that was really never designed to haul more than a few cars at one point when the piece was, first introduced back in the post-war days, and see it come into the 21st century with all the neat command control electronics. And suddenly we're building a work train that is specifically designed to go behind these cars. And that's really neat that instead of it just being individual pieces now, that Lionel is looking at it from a standpoint of, hey, we're going to give you guys an entire work train to put behind these Hijackers now. And I hope as time goes on, we see a few more cars that we can stick in behind these Hijackers and put a pretty neat little train together.
Yeah, you bet. The work train idea is a really good one to build on, and we'll certainly be thinking about it more here at Lionel about how we can build out and expand that sort of work train idea.
Another interesting area of this catalog, and you and I got a chance to introduce this idea when we sat down in July at the LCCA National Convention in Indianapolis, Accessories are a big deal in this catalog. So we're going to kind of park it here in the accessory department for a few minutes. So if you want to flip over to the accessory section, the new idea in this catalog that you and I have introduced to the public along with the rest of the Lionel team is plug-and-play accessories. And we're going to spend a few minutes kind of talking about what's in this catalog and then kind of give our audience an idea of what plug-and-play accessories mean. So tell me about some of the plug-and-play accessories that are being introduced in this catalog. They may be old favorites, but what are they?
Well, we have very basic accessories and also middle of the road as far as complexity goes, and we also have some very, very cool, more complex pieces as well. The main thing that, before mentioning the pieces, I just make sure that people are clear with plug and play without me at this moment going off on all the details. It's a really simple system that basically allows you to plug in one standard cable into your lock-on your track. And for your simpler accessories through Fast Track, you're ready to go with that one simple connection. But specifically as far as products that we're offering in this catalog, many of you might recall the classic outdoor sort of park series of accessories that we had offered many years ago. And so you'll see a spread in our new catalog called The Great Outdoors that has things like the lumberjacks and the playground swings and the tug of war. These are all really good examples of pieces that you take it out of the box. It already has a standard cable that's connected to it with a 3-pin end. That 3-pin connection goes directly into your plug-and-play lock-on track piece, and that's powered and ready to go. And the cool thing, too, about plug-and-play is if you don't run on Fast Track, if you have a different track system, you do also have in that box a connector that would connect to that end that would allow you the basic wiring that you would have to allow you to connect it more traditionally to your layout if you don't have Fast Track. So the Great Outdoors is, for example, a really good example of just some of the classic sort of simple accessories that you're going to be able to run with plug and play now.
Very cool. And it's neat to hear that, something for years that has been one of the hallmarks of a layout are these miles of wire running underneath back to the transformer, back to the control panel. And I think one of the hallmarks of the Lionel line the last few years has been, especially with the introduction of Lion Chief Plus, and now these plug-and-play accessories, is simplifying it. Let's be honest. We live in a time now where not every family wants to learn how to wire a layout. A lot of people want to be able to literally, pull it out of the box, plug it in, and go. And it's cool to see Lionel kind of attacking that. And like I said, we're getting away from miles and miles of wire running back to the transformer. Pretty neat stuff.
Yeah, a good thing to keep in mind, too, is a lot of people who are just entering trains, toy trains now, our ready-to-run train line really revolves around the Lion Chief system, which out of the box runs mainly through your DC connections into your wall. So the other thing that we're doing here is we're allowing a simple system for everybody because these will run on your AC or DC layout. So really it's a system that's keeping up with the times with what Lionel is doing and changing its line, really with the ultimate goal of making it more fun and more easy to use for everybody.
Very neat. And I don't know if you can speak to this. This is just off the top of my head. Thinking about the Lion Chief line and the Lion Chief Plus line, as people continue to grow their layouts, and I think I may have heard rumblings about this a year ago, will we see some larger wall packs for these Lion Chief layouts as they grow that people can continue to add accessories and not worry about having enough power to make that happen?
Absolutely. You're going to see in this catalog, I believe it's in this catalog, a 72-watt wall pack. So
wow.
For those of you who are looking for a little bit more power to start running more than that one train or to be adding on accessories, you do have that option now to get the 72-watter.
Very cool. So the neat thing is it feels like we're kind of walking into an era here where in theory the transformer may cease to exist in one way or another. I mean, we're getting to the point where everything,
can plug into the wall and completely bypass that need for a transformer. And for somebody that's just getting started, that's nice. It's one less thing you have to learn. And so it's neat to see that happen. You and I have talked about some of the old favorites that are coming in from the plug-and-play line, the 455 oil derrick, the 497 coaling station, the icing station, the burning switch tower. A lot of Lionel classics are making this transition into this new era. One of the coolest pieces that I want to spend a few minutes with you talking about is this new command control gantry crane. But you and I talked about this in Indianapolis. What makes this crane so special that I think is really going to blow people's doors off?
Yeah, I think so too, Derek. This is, of course, the classic 3-action magnetic crane from Lionel's post-war years. But we've taken that 3-action and made it into 4-action. And that really special feature now is the fact that the wheels on the bottom of that gantry support are actually motor driven. So not only do you have the ability to move the line up and down and turn on and off that magnet and to rotate that cab, you now can also move that entire gantry crane back and forth above your track.
And something that I've heard mentioned on the forums that we need to make really clear here, this is not rehashed technology. This is not a chain-driven system to move this crane back and forth. It's not a screw-driven system. The motors are directly tied to the legs. So it's the wheels themselves that are powered. So there's no chain drive, nothing like that. And that is brand new for this. And talking with Mike Reagan and the other folks in the product development area, that's something that they wanted me to stress to you guys, that this is an all-in-one package. Now, the fact that this is command control, will we see the traditional switch box with this mat to control it, or is it all tied to the TMCC system?
For this particular release of the gantry crane, it's going to be command control only. So this piece will not have the switch box with the levers to control it, nor will it have any sort of tether that connects the crane to anything. Really, our main aim for this was to make it a top-notch command control piece that we could also work in the motion onto this crane. So does this mean that we won't come out with a version that's conventional? No. I would keep an eye out in the future for another release of the classic gantry crane that is controlled conventionally. And we'll take a close look at the ability to also get the motion as a feature for that possible future release of the gantry crane.
Coming from a high-end operator, which I am, I'm really excited about this crane for the simple fact that I can't tell you how many layouts I visited that with the traditional 3-function crane, where we've all had to splice those wiring harnesses apart to run the control cable under the layout, fish it back up through the layout, lengthen it out, and then splice it all back together and solder it all back together so everything functions. So the idea of this crane that is completely, well, I won't say it's completely wireless, but you know, you tie it into a power system and basically you're ready to go with the command control is really, really, really exciting. And I think you're making a lot of people happy by focusing on some of these high-end accessories. Something I want to circle back to for a minute with this plug-and-play concept that I want to highlight is the operating gateman and some of these accessories that were traditionally operated either by track trip or an outside insulated rail. The plug-and-play system is somewhat going to change how these accessories operate in the Lionel world. Can you kind of explain the track pack and the activation sections and how that'll work now?
Sure, I'll do my best. Well, let's use the gateman as an example. A piece like that can traditionally be activated by the train passing by. It can also be activated by a remote control, so to speak, with a control box. For every piece for plug and play, when you take it out of the box, you're going to be able to operate it. And that would, of course, include the gateman, too. What you get with the gateman is the switch box included in your package. So you'll be able to set that up. You'll have that one connection that'll go to your plug-and-play lock-on your track, and you've got your switch box connected too, which is part in that line. and then you're ready to operate that remotely by your command. Now, what you can do, though, is you'll also notice at the end of the plug-and-play section, there are some extra track pieces and other things listed, to cables and whatnot, that are all plug-and-play related. You can buy the track activation pack, which basically has a lock-on, and then it has your isolated and insulated track pieces. That's going to allow you to take something like the Gateman, plug it into that activation pack, track pack, on your layout, and you're then all set. It's really that easy to then operate that, to have your train consist itself activate your accessory.
Very nice. I tell you what, it's cool to see Lionel focusing on accessories once again, and I don't think this is the last that our listeners have seen of new and exciting accessories, and I think this is the tip of the iceberg, so to speak, of a new era of accessories at Lionel, and it's exciting to see what you guys are doing. A couple other things that we want to highlight in this catalog before we go too long. Number one, the O-Gauge dealer exclusive sets. These have been around for a little while now. And, these, for the folks that have been collecting Lionel for some time, may remember the service station special sets. These have kind of become the service station special sets for the 21st century. Can you kind of talk to me for a second about Lionel's commitment to its dealers and to continue these kind of sets and what makes them special?
Absolutely. Definitely you're going to be seeing, as you see in this catalog and as we move forward into 2015 and beyond, you're going to see exclusive sets that are identified as dealer only. And really we are committed to supporting our dealers and to provide product that we feel fully supports Lionel and the funnel of sets that we want specifically for their market. And some of these sets will be created in close conversations with them. And the ones you see currently, there's an emphasis on some of the individual cars. We did try hard to create sets that they do have individual boxes for each of those. They're not ready to run. It's just the train consists only. But we feel that the sets have a lot of unique cars within, and it allows stores, even if they prefer, to break those up and sell individual cars, as many people like to collect certain types of cars. But I think the real emphasis here is, as we move forward, you're going to see Lionel's commitment to providing sets that we really feel strongly about, and that we want them to be tied directly to our dealer network. And that will be very important to Lionel as we move forward.
A couple other things I want to mention here real quick. Number one, something new that is neat and something that you've mentioned that the Lionel customers asked for are these Diecast tractors and trailers that are over on page 84, and a lot of them are in railroad-specific names that Lionel has done recently or in the past. And so another great option for items to go on your layout that are railroad-related. They look really sharp. They're really, really well done decoration-wise. So check those out on page 84. You'll also see the return of the Monopoly freight cars. That line continues to expand. It seems like you guys have, how do I want to word this? You guys have kind of figured out where your strengths are, and you guys continue to expand on those lines. Something as we kind of lead out of this show, and dare I say, look at 2015, because that's nothing anybody wants to look at yet, because you guys are, even though I know you guys are, let's talk, and I won't say in specific terms, but let's talk as vaguely as we possibly can without getting in trouble from anybody about 2015. What should the Lionel faithful be looking for that may have thought to have been forgotten, but has not necessarily been forgotten as we head into 2015?
Sure. It's hard to talk about 15 at this point, but it is important for it's important to us that our customers know that what we're working on now, we really are working on those future products. And a lot of that does tie into what we're working on today, what you're seeing today. We're building on, we're creating the template now for how we're moving forward. And we have a really great team to accomplish that. There's certain pockets of product. Let's just take post-war, for example. We try very hard to please all of our various audiences and customers who are buying from us and looking forward to our catalogs to see what's coming up. We haven't really done very many new post-war inspired type pieces recently. And I would like to mention that, keep your eyes peeled in 2015. You're going to be seeing some new pieces that I think you're going to be interested in. It's just important for myself and for Lionel to let our customers know that there are lots of areas of our product line that are important to us and that we will be continuing with. We've had a grand history of post-war products and then the post-war celebration and conventional classics. We've done a lot of great pieces, and we do feel that there are some other important pieces that we can still hit in that area of product.
Well, you heard it here first, folks. A great look at the 2014 Volume 2 catalog. Some hints about what to look for in 2015. Another great catalog show. Matt, hey, thanks so much for your time, and we'll let you guys get back to the drawing board because, as you know, no one ever sleeps at Lionel. It's always working towards the future, and boy, we're excited to see what you guys do next.
Well, we're really excited, too, and we appreciate the time that you give us, Derek.
Well, that's going to wrap it up for another Lionel catalog release show. Thank you so much for listening. A couple of quick notes before we get out of here. Number one, September 27th, the third annual TW Trainworks Layout Festival. If you are in the southern region of the country or if you're looking for somewhere to travel, this layout festival is an amazing site. There are tons of layouts to see at the TW Trainworks facility. Roger and Dorsey Farkash put on an amazing event, and so for more information on that event, which is just a few weeks away, twtrainworks.com. The third annual TW Trainworks Layout Festival in Dallas, Texas. Check it out, September 27th. One more note, and then we'll get on our way. Madison Hardware T-shirts return for a second order coming the second week of October, right before York. So if you missed out on the first run of Madison Hardware T-shirts, you'll have another chance. That's going to do it for this episode of Notch 6. If you enjoy this show, make sure to leave a review on iTunes or Stitcher. The best thing that you can do for us, though, is share this show with your friends. We pack a lot of great information into these shows, and sometimes it goes unnoticed. The best thing you can do to help get the information out about these products is, again, to share the show with your friends, email, send them the website. However you want to do that, just get some ears on this show because your friends will learn a lot about O-Gauge trains too. A lot of great episodes coming this fall. I don't want you to miss anything. Sign up for our email list at notch6.com. Until next time, friends, keep it in Notch 6.
Thanks for listening to Notch 6, the only podcast dedicated to O-Gauge trains. You can find every episode on our website, notch6.com, or on iTunes and Stitcher. We'll see you again soon. Until then, be sure to keep it in Notch 6. The following has been a production of Notch 6 Media and is intended for private use only. This show may not be copied or redistributed without express written consent. This show copyright 2014, all rights reserved.